This is our ESB 2026 player rankings. We're back at the hot corner for our top 10 third basemen entering the 2026 Major League Baseball season. And I'm here alongside my ESB Monday regulars, Tom and Corey, no Joe. And we should be joined by our good buddy Keefe in a little bit. But yeah, Corey, we focus on the hot corner, a position that for many years was deduced by power at the position, by great defense at the position. We've seen a lot of guys that towards the top of that list for many years drop out of those top portions of the third base list. As we look here in our 2025 rankings, Jose Ramirez tops this list here, but we see a familiar face, Corey. I want to point your attention to Nolan Arenado in the number 6 spot. Somebody who's descended down our list. We're about to find out if he still has what it takes to stay on our top 10. But look at a guy like Arenado, who was once a top player at this position.
Yeah, and it's all how life progresses with a lot of these veteran players who've been in the game for a while. Eventually, time is going to take its toll. We'll see if Arenado had enough juice left to crack our top 10 list. That'll be coming up in a moment. But, he was a great fielder, a great bat. It's interesting to see him there and some of the other names there, too, like Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos on a top 10 list. I can't believe that. Ryan McMahon, he's a Yankee now.
Yep.
Rafael Devers, he's on the first baseman's list now when we did that episode a couple of days ago. So it's an interesting year for third base. Definitely a lot of shuffle compared to years past.
Definitely going to see some new faces now join this list as we get into it. Our top 10 third basemen entering the 2026 season. Keeps with us now. Let's get into it with our top 10 list. And one of these names we just saw on the previous screen from our 2025 rankings. We'll get into him shortly. But at number 10, Jordan Wospil, a new feature on our top 10 list here. Westberg in 2025, good season, 265 batting average, 313 on base percentage. Solid for a guy who, really doesn't have a bunch of pop, more of a contact bat, good defense here, was an all-star in 2024. So Westberg sneaking onto our list, got to note that fielding, that outs above average in the 81 percentile, sprint speed up to 89, which you don't typically see from a third baseman. Westberg there at number 10. Number 9 is Carlos Correa, who's used to our shortstop list. Correa, who traded to the Houston Astros middle of the 2025 season from the Minnesota Twins, moved over to third base and had a Carlos Correa vintage season. Hit 290 in 51 games with the Astros. Put up just 6 homers, again, just a half a season there in Houston. But Carlos Correa flashing a little bit of what he once was years ago in his first go-around with Houston. And this is the one that's intriguing to me the most here, guys. Again, we saw him towards the top 5 in third base rankings over the last few years. Austin Riley in the number 8 spot takes a dip from the number 4 position. And Austin Riley, let's face it, hasn't really looked like Austin Riley in a couple seasons now. Between 2024 and 2025, went from 256 to 260. So yeah, went up there. The home runs are significantly down. And he's also just not staying on the field, which I think is the most important thing, Tom.
Yeah, listen, the 2021 to 2023, he played 160 games, 159 games, 159 games. 2024 and 2025, 110 and 102. So obviously his counting stats are going to be down. And, when you have those lingering injuries, your other stats are going to take hits as well. He's certainly a top 5 talent. And I think if he has a healthy year, he'll probably find himself back in the top 5. But he's been proven, or he's been showing some injury concerns, and that's got to hurt him. You got to be able to play. And I know, at least for my rankings, when I was ranking guys, if guys are constantly hurt and you're not getting full seasons out of them, I ding them a lot in my rankings.
Keith, Corey, you see it as NL East foes of the Atlanta Braves, and shout out to our good buddy JoJo, but this kind of been a curse for the Braves when it comes to guys staying healthy. Their biggest players, Austin Riley and and Ronald Acuna Jr., Chris Sale, Sean Murphy, even if you want to throw that out there, Spencer Strider. These guys are just finding a hard time with this injury bug over in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, but I have no sympathy because as a Met fan, Keefe, you know it very well. We've been through it how many times as Met fans? So eventually it's coming full circle. And again, you're not rooting for injuries for other teams, but it's just what happens. And if it's going to happen, I'm glad it's not my team. And if it's going to happen to any team, I'm glad it's my division rival. So it is what it is. And then you look at the bottom there, Jordan Westberg, 2 lists in a row, second base and third base, a young Oriole making the list. And again, I think it's a very similar bucket to Jackson Holiday. How much of it is because of Jordan Westberg and how much of it is because of the drop-off? I think even more so than second base, our third base rankings collectively as a group after the 8th spot completely all over the map. And it just so happened to be Westberg rounding it out at the 10 spot there. But again, it's just such a cliff after the top 8 or so players. So another young Oriole cracking the list this year.
Just want to say, I agree with that last point quite a bit. Third base is my position, so I'm very sensitive to it. But it's actually right now one of the hardest positions to fill in baseball. Truly, it really is. They try to shoot guys over there when they're not natural third basemen, hence what we're dealing with this year. But if you're not good, producing and you're not really doing much, you just might find yourself on the list because there's not a lot of third basemen out there. Right. Riley's been bad for 2 years, and he's still probably a top 10 third baseman. However way you want to slice it up. You got a shortstop that just converted to third base at number 9, right? So it's a tough spot. It really, really is. I hate that it's kind of gotten to like this. I remember the league was filled with a lot of third basemen, but I agree. Honestly, and you could probably pick about 6 guys to be in the 10th spot, honestly. So I'm cool with this, but it's a tough spot going into this season, honestly. And the age we're in, third base is very scarce.
Keefe mentions a shortstop converting over to third base, which is a great lead-in to our next 3 on this list. Corey Favs, who do we got at the number 7 spot down to number 5?
Yeah, just like Carlos Correa, you have another shortstop here who's going to be playing third base. Bo Bichette going into his first year at third base for the New York Metropolitans. It'll be interesting. You think the switch from short to third, in theory, would help him. Ultimately, we'll see how it plays out. I think from an offensive standpoint, I'm really excited to see him in that Mets lineup. I think he's got a shot at 100 plus RBIs this year, batting behind Lindor and Soto. He's not going to replace every RBI Alonso gave you last year. But I could definitely see him having one of his most productive years of his career just because of the guys he's hitting behind. And he's got a pretty good player in Blanco right behind him, too. Michael Garcia, interesting name here because I think if you look at the top 10 list that we have, I think he might have one of the highest floors, one of the highest ceilings, where he could shoot up maybe as high as 4th overall. And I think he could have one of the lowest floors of the top 10, not even being on the top 10 list next year. He's the most polarizing player on this list for me just because of how high or how low I think he can go. Absolutely phenomenal glove. Took a real leap last year. Had a nice year, 800 OPS, but he only had a 614 OPS the year before, 7 home runs the year before, 16 last year. So I'm really intrigued by the what you're going to get from him this year. And Matt Chapman, number 5 last year, number 5 this year, pretty much the same. And he's exactly the type of player that he's been year over year the last few. You're going to get a good glove, and you're going to get some good pop. He's not going to be an all-star player anymore, but you're going to get solid defense. Again, he's a 5-time Gold Glover. You're going to get 20 home runs, and that's about it. So it's right there in the middle of the list at number 5 once again.
Tommy, we got a third baseman who's been on our list since we started this. We have a third baseman making his debut on this list. And we have a shortstop used to our shortstop rankings making his debut on the third base list as well. Who do you want to tackle here, though?
I got a little bit on Matt Chapman, kind of like to Corey's point. He's the Giants, I feel like, have a bunch of these just boring guys. They're just good baseball players, but there's nothing about them that has really of any interest. See Brandon Webb from our pitcher video. Yeah, I mean, Matt Chapman, he's a good baseball player. he really brings nothing else to the table for me. He's getting older, so I actually had him ranked lower on my list because I could see the dip starting to potentially happen. But just a consummate good third baseman and someone that you wouldn't mind as your starting third baseman for sure.
Did you say Brandon Webb?
No, I said Brandon Webb. I meant
I always do the same
I was
thing.
like, hold on a second.
I
probably said Brandon. You know what? Corey from the second base video had a Brandon thing that was in my head. I meant Logan Webb. Yeah.
Shout out to Brandon.
Again, it just speaks to how boring the Giants are. They're just like, exactly. I can't even remember their names. They're so boring.
Look, back to Bo real quick, and Keefe, I want to throw it over to you, the other Met fan in the room here, to talk about Bo Bichette. But one of the things I love looking at with Bo Bichette in his 2025 that he had, prior to him signing with the New York Mets, a lot of Yankee fans, like myself, was clamoring for Bo Bichette to make his way over to the other pinstripes in the Bronx. And one of the numbers I had to look down over at Baseball Reference was clutch stats, which is something the Yankees had, struggled with, especially in big time situations in the playoffs. And if you I'm not going to go through every single line because every line is great, but late and close situations, which are plate appearances in the 7th or later with the batting team tied ahead by 1 or the tying run at least on deck. This guy hit 325 in those situations last year. In a tie game, he had 274, 2 outs, runners in scoring position, 306. Whether it was close and ahead, 288, behind, 369. So this is a guy that keeps your team into games. He comes up in big moments. And now that he stepped on the biggest stage in the World Series, I think that's just going to take him to a whole another level with his bat. I think what just really keeps him at number 7, we don't know what he's going to be at third base, Keefe.
That's why I didn't rank him.
No.
I love him. I think he's going to be great. But I didn't rank him, and I have a hard time. I understand he's going to be playing third, but where I profile him as based off his career is a shortstop. So where we go with Bo Bichette is an unknown territory. At least where we saw with the career ranking, he moved over to third base when he got to Houston. We got to see it. It was a seamless transition. He was really good at it. We don't know what's going to happen with Bo. So I think this is very kind, similar to the Semien ranking, and Bo's a much better player than Semien, but I appreciate the rankings. Garcia, breakout player. I think this is a really good spot for him. Matt Chapman, the consummate pro. I mean, I think he's the only player in Major League Baseball right now with 3 different Gold Gloves for 3 different organizations. So, and he might be taking a tick back, but if that's his tick back, then I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. So this is pretty good, honestly. I mean, there's a guy here I wouldn't rank, but the third base position is also very scarce. Again, to repeat, yeah.
Very interesting. Not big on Westberg, not big on Riley. You don't have Bichette in your list. I kind of wonder where you were at with your third baseman when we get to that slide in a little bit of time, especially towards the end there. But there you have your 7 through 5. Let's get to the next 3. And with our next 3 heavy hitters out of the third base position, Tom, take it away.
Let's do it here. And I think we have a definite step up on this slide. And we're going to start with the newest Chicago Cub, Alex Bregman, after his pit stop in Boston. Last year we were getting unsure what position he was going to play. He's going to play second, he's going to play third. Ended up playing, third with the Red Sox. Had a very good year. Good baseball player, winning type baseball player. So he moves over to Chicago to play third base for for the Cubs. I said we take a step up here, and then we have a guy who was completely unranked last year, and a guy that no one saw a 45 homer season coming in Junior Caminero. Luckily, I did. Had him on my one fantasy team. Very helpful. But yeah, 45 homers last year, a 131 OPS plus. Defensively, it's not probably his strong suit, but if he can produce that way, with the bat, that's gonna, you can start just about anywhere if you're going to be doing that. And then number 2 spot, a guy who for probably a long time, fighting for that number 1 spot, with Manny Machado out in San Diego. just another good year as he's getting into he'll be his age 33 season. He'll be turning 34 during the season. I feel like Manny Machado's like 45, probably because he came up so young. He's played 14 years at this point, and he produces offensively, defensively. He's one of the best third baseman we've seen, along with a Nolan Arenado, who's definitely is aging out of these types of lists. But I mean, what Manny Machado gives you on both sides of the ball is great. He's probably going to be getting close to that 400 home run mark this year. He's 31 away, so a good year from him. He can hit that number, which is crazy to see. That's our 2, 3, and 4 ranked third baseman. I guess you probably could figure out who number 1 is. Who's got anything on these guys?
Corey, I want to actually throw it to you because I know Alex Bregman had the weird hiccup with second base last year. That's why he's NA in there. But we got Alex Bregman, veteran that was typically used to the third base position in our previous rankings. Manny Machado has been there since the beginning. And the kid split into 2 here. Who do you got? What do you got on these 3 here?
Yeah, I want to touch on Junior because when you look at number 1 on our list, I mean, we'll get to that in a second, and we were unanimous across the board, and rightly so. That number 1 is a 7-time All-Star and did it 5 straight years. But if he's going to get topped in a couple of years' time, again, just due to the natural progression of age, this Junior kid, I think he's going to be number 1 in a year or two's time. 45 home runs. I mean, that's impressive for the young guy. So I could definitely see him potentially making that jump up to top of the list. Maybe not next year, but a couple of years' time, he's going to be towards the top of this list. And if they move him elsewhere, because I know these guys been moving around. And we mentioned with Bregman, this is like the 3rd time now. He shifted from one list to the other, one list to the other. Junior will be the top in a lot of lists, depending on where he ends up.
Boys, I really like Junior Caminero. I just think my separator between why he's not in that 2 spot, or maybe why he's not even all the way up to 1 is A, can you do this for another year? And B, can you do this away from George M. Steinbrenner Field? Can you do this away from Mini Yankee? And last year, if you want to look at this split, the home and away stats are significantly different outside of homers. 22 at home, 23 on the road. So that's no problem. But he is simply not hitting on the road. He had 313 at home, 358 on base percentage, 954 OPS. Away, it's a 218 batting average. It's a 266 on base. It's a 743 OPS. So you think you hate to use ballpark as a reason for a player's success or failure, but I do want to see Caminero take that next step at the Trop when the Rays move back into their original home. Keefe, what were your thoughts on Caminero here as we sing the praises of the young Rays third baseman?
Sensational breakout campaign. Have to admit, yes, it was at George M. Steinbrenner Field, but
he also is a righty. He's not a lefty, so he's not feasted on the short porch as a lefty would.
I mean, it's still a minor league ballpark, regardless of the fact if it's lefty or righty. But
it's nearly 100-point drop. It's very interesting.
He still played in it and he performed in it. This is why he did so well in it. Now we can see the actual full product, in a major league ballpark. So I think that's one of the best campaigns I've seen in a while for a breakout performer, like getting a full set. I guess that was his was it his full rookie year? I'm not sure.
It was his sophomore year.
Sophomore year, right? We haven't seen one of those in quite some time to clip the 40 home run mark at that age. So that is significant. I have to give him credit for that. Now we'll see if that translates to a full season in 2 major league ballparks, home and away. I just want to say I'm real big on like what Alex Bregman and what Manny Machado have brought to the game of baseball during their time here, because that is just a sign of true consistency, regardless if it's up or down or here or there or whatever. These guys for now, I don't even know how long, going on maybe 10 years now, have been 2 of the best third basemen in baseball. And we're going to talk about another one in a second, but they deserve so much credit, honestly, to just staying there and being good there. Just as Matt Chapman, I just want to mention that because this position, as we've mentioned, it's very hard to stay at it and to be very productive at it. So I just want to give a lot of credit to there. And let's see, Junior Caminero is off to a really good start. Hopefully he can prove all the doubters wrong. I think This is this is the kind of player that I think can use that as fuel to tell everybody, yes, I am that player. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes for the Rays and Junior Caminero this season.
One other, because I didn't want to just bash Caminero and the home away splits there. 100 percentile in bat speed in 2025. I mean, now you're talking elite stuff there for Junior Caminero. But we will talk about one more elite third baseman. He is our number one third baseman. Keefe, do us the honors one more time. Who is number one third baseman entering 2026?
Coming in at your number one spot for the top 10 third baseman for the ESB top 10 list for 2026 is none other than future Hall of Famer, Mr. Cooperstown himself, Jose Ramirez. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. J-Ram finished his age 32 season with 30 home runs and 44 stolen bases with 85 RBIs and 103 runs in 158 games with essentially nobody else in the lineup. And he does this almost every single season. This is a guy who is lineup proof, ballpark proof, pitchers proof. He's a switch hitter. He looks like he's fat, but he's not. He runs the bags well. Everything about this guy is awesome, honestly. He can fight. This is also like something that's really cool. You know, and the dude is one of I personally believe, top 10, maybe arguably top 5 player in all of the sport. We are looking at a actual true Hall of Famer, and I think he's not slowing down. He is going to be entering his age 33 season, but I don't see any signs. And even if he goes down to 25 home runs and maybe 35 stolen bases, for a guy at that age still producing at that level, at that position, which I'm a broken record, it's very difficult to stay there, is incredible. He's on his way to greatness, and he's going to walk into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And let me tell you, the thing I like the most with Jose Ramirez, and again, phenomenal player, I love the fact that he's sticking it out with the team he came up with out there in Cleveland. Unlike some other players, he's not running out to LA to try to buy himself a championship. He's out there sticking it with his homegrown team. You don't usually see that type of loyalty anymore these days. So I give a lot of respect to Jose Ramirez. And again, like you said, he's such a phenomenal player. He'll be on his way to Cooperstown, and he's got several more years of high-end performance in him.
4th year in a row we've done the player rankings. Jose Ramirez has now been in this number one spot at third base for the last 3 years. Manny Machado was actually our number one third baseman going back to 2023. So we were talking about that consistency of some of those heavy hitters staying towards the top. It's really just been between those two guys for the next couple of years. But now you got a young stud in Junior Caminero that adds a more interesting caveat to that conversation moving forward. But Tom, you know what I love to end with? Our favorite, the money slide. We look at this one here, Thomas. Real quick, anything stick out to you? Looks like everybody's got Jose Ramirez at the top. People were back and forth on Machado and Caminero. Joe giving a lot of love to Michael Garcia. But Tom, what's pointing out to you here?
That was the thing that jumped out to me. Also jumped out to me being a bit of a hypocrite, saying Austin Riley, he should be kind of lower on the rankings. I still had him 5th, so call myself out there. But yeah, the Michael Garcia, that really that's something. And also Joe, I guess
Chapman on your end.
What?
No love for Chapman on your end, number 10?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm ready for I'm ready a bit for the fall off. I feel like I'm ready to be 1 year early to 1 year late.
Oh, interesting.
So how you get Paredes up there?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. So I had him there, man.
Over Correa, who's the third baseman of the team.
But wait, hold on. The host of the show got a guy who doesn't even play. Royce Lewis.
Well, yeah. I mean, having the number 10 spot. I mean, yes, but right. There's the tremendous upside. He cannot stay healthy. Oh, so a little bit more, that's more just like you're looking at enough projection because that's all you got. But again, third base, it's a weird position.
I have to say, we have done this from multiple positions, guys. And I'm not here to call anybody out. But we have praised postseason play, have we not?
Yes.
Sure.
Have we not? Have we had?
Sure
I think that is a
some of us really value it.
Yes. Thank you, Tom. We have been extremely consistent with postseason play. Not a single person here voted for Max Muncy. What are we doing, guys? Love me. Not tooting my horn, but that is one of the best postseason players there is.
Yeah, you got.
I think there's a difference between, putting however old Max Muncy is on our list and maybe some other teammates of his who really perform in the postseason.
I want to move up. I'm like surprised myself, but I drew up all these graphics, so I should know where everybody is at this point. But Caleb Durbin in Keefe's number 7, the newest addition to the Boston Red Sox. That's intriguing. It's number 7.
Let's show love where love deserved. That guy, not a single soul saw Caleb Durbin doing what he did last year. Not only did he do it, he did it for a playoff team, and he was an above-average player at a brand-new position. How could you ignore that? And we're talking about a position that's scarce. For a player to do that in his debut campaign, finish second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Come on.
Paredes stuff is interesting. Joe,
and he had to deal with being developed by the Yankees. It's incredible that he's even to make the list.
Guy should have kept him. He would have been better than Volpe.
Nah, they would have ruined him somehow.
Oh man, yeah. I will say, Joe's here. I mean, like I said, Garcia, highest floor, lowest ceiling of that mid-tier third baseman. Second overall is definitely a bit high for me, especially when Junior's down there at 6th. I can't confirm Muncy was our number 11th as a collective group. He was my number 11th. He was 11th as the collective group. He just missed out on that 10th spot. And I know I had Bo Bichette high, and I was the highest on him. And I mentioned it before. I just think he's going to have such a monster year. Even if he's giving you average third base, making the shift over from short, I think he's going to be a 100 RBI guy. When you look at last year third base, there was only 2 third basemen who did it. One, Suarez, who's not even third base this year, is projected DH, and the other one was Junior. So I think Bo Bichette's going to join that 100 RBI club at third base this year. That's why I went 4 on him. I love Bregman. It was so hard to put him above Bregman, but I just think Bregman, he's getting paid for his 2019 self, but he hasn't hit his career OPS since 2020. Still such a phenomenal player, still without a doubt a top 5 third baseman. But I just think Bo Bichette's going to have potentially 30 to 40 more RBIs than Bregman this year.
And as I suspected at the beginning of the show, once considered one of the more elite players at the position who was on our rankings for these past 3 years, no one had a vote for Nolan Arenado. The Arenado era is over. And given what he can potentially find in Arizona, Nolan Arenado not featured at all amongst the 6 voters here. So that is it for Arenado's stay here on the rankings. And that's it for our rankings here for third base. We're going to move on to other positions. So make sure that you're following us here on YouTube. Make sure you're saying subscribe and make sure to ring that notification bell to let you guys know of the next player rankings. We still have a few more to go as we count down the days to opening day 2026.